Welcome everyone to episode 3 Car Talk. Wow. Okay, so the topic today is failure. Wow. I think there's a few people in my life that have been talking about some really kind of blows in the face experiences, and there was also another conversation that came up, and that was how failure really actually makes us stronger. And so I guess when we're discouraged or we're not feeling like we're owning ourselves or stepping up to our full potential, I think it's good to just acknowledge that failure is part of life, and it is that kind of catalyst that makes us a stronger version of ourselves. And so I just don't want anyone out there to feel like just because the universe sent them a blow. And you know what that looks like when somebody says, let me give you an example. I posted this last video and the comment was made, what makes you a coach? And at first I was kind of taken back and had to kind of sit back and think about that. And I realized the answer is life. Life makes me a coach. And the universe sends us people to kind of try to knock us down so that we can learn to be confident in ourselves without the accolades or the praise from the world. And I don't want to say that that's not a necessary part of life, because it's very much needed to be that person who can support others, and to acknowledge yourself and to acknowledge others, to be the type of person who can say nice things. But that is not the world. Maybe here in 100 years that it will be, but right now we are still in a construct of people who just kind of sometimes like to be assholes, and they like to kind of throw stones, and they do that. Maybe they're being authentic, maybe they're being whatever, but I think what you have to realize is there's a way to look at it from a place of empowerment, and it's one, empowering yourself, and maybe even two, empowering them. So, for example, a comment gets thrown your way, and it's triggering. Be willing to come to a place of looking at it from both sides. Not from a place of a flippant, like I'm not going to let this land and now I'm going to be narcissistic and egotistical about it, but from a place of like, okay, what is my truth in it? And how can you rephrase that comment to empower you? How can you take your power back versus giving it away? And so I would specifically say that for me, I would say life has made me a coach, and the experiences that I've had are just examples, and they're meant to inspire, but it doesn't necessarily have to be the case. If something doesn't get something from it, then that's okay, and maybe it's not where I'm supposed to be. And understand too, maybe it's not where you're supposed to be. So you go into a situation, you take the bat, you strike out, or maybe you don't even strike out. You hit a freaking home run, and somebody comes and taps on your shoulder and says, you suck. We don't want you here. Or, you know what, I've seen enough. I think in that moment, you have to go, maybe this isn't where I'm supposed to be. And I call them the guard dogs. The guard dogs are the people that show up in our reality that kind of get us to move in a different direction. So just consider the source, and consider maybe there's something better for you. Consider that it doesn't have to be a negative. We don't have to let people crush our self-esteem. We can actually rise above it and go a different direction. So that, and then the second part of that is, how do we do that from a place of love? Loving that person and not making them wrong for, the tap, hey, you suck. It's like, wow, okay. It's easy to say you're an asshole, or, F you, or whatever. But that's disempowering to not only that person, but it's disempowering to yourself, because it doesn't breed a sense of oneness or unity or cooperation in the world. It's not a place of heart-centeredness. So here's an example. And, I encourage you to look at how you can utilize this in your life. So you get the tap, and they say you suck. You're probably not what we're looking for. First off, empowerment to self. empowering myself, I could say something like, okay, this isn't where I'm supposed to be. I'm going to have faith and trust that maybe there's something better for me. But you know, it's also going to light a fire under my ass to maybe bring my A game and consider what that means for me. You know, this isn't where I'm supposed to be in this moment, but how can I do it differently next time? How could I take that as corrective criticism and make myself a better version of myself? Okay. So secondly, how do I empower them versus turning around and disempowering them, which is what we want to do in that, to kind of protect our ego. And what I would suggest is find a way in which you can honor the experience. And maybe it's something like, thank you for lighting that fire. Thank you for being that guard dog who's putting me on a new path. Because you don't know what that path is. Maybe there's a different team. Maybe there's a different club. Maybe there's a different group or a job that is just waiting for you. And it just can't wait to embrace you with open arms and hug you and love you. And you're going to feel so welcome. And you're going to remember that feeling. That feeling of not being included or embraced. And when you get that embrace, it's going to feel so much better. So there is that. And I know in life sometimes we don't look at it from the full 360 degree view, right? We look at it from like this finite, like this is the experience. But I do think that when we we move out and we look at the world through, you know, a broader spectrum, we start to see the big picture. And so I'm going to leave you with that. I'm going to ask you to, one, see the big picture. Two, ask yourself, you know, what is this experience trying to teach me? What is the lesson in this? And one, how can I empower myself by creating a positive story? And how can I empower the other person by creating a powerful, positive story as well, versus something that really doesn't do any good to make other people wrong or whatnot. So hopefully that helps. This was just an example of something that came through today, and there's a specific person I'm speaking to. If you watch this, you will know, and I just want you to know that you're freaking awesome. You are a badass baseball player is what I'm going to say. And I just hope that you realize that you're way better than what anybody is ever going to say about you. So keep it up. Love you all. And let's be the type of people who empower people versus disempower them. There's enough of those people out there that want to take people down. And maybe today we just make a commitment for that not to be us. All right. Peace.